Hey guys, John here with TD Racing 13, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Syma X5sc. Now this is Syma's latest rendition of their popular X5 platform, and it's seen several upgrades over the original versions. What we'll do is we'll start by showing you what's included in the ready-to-fly package. You're going to get the quadcopter, transmitter, a spare set of props, a set of prop guards, screwdriver, 2-megapixel camera, 4GB SD card with USB reader, 500 milliamp hour battery, and a USB charger. So the transmitter hasn't changed since the original X5. I believe it's on a different protocol now because I can fly my Syma X11 with it. So if you do have a Syma X11, that's a pretty cool little benefit. On the front here, you have your left and right trim, your up, forward and back trim. You have your yaw trim, and then these trim buttons here are actually for the camera. So clicking it up will take a still shot, and pushing it down once will start recording video. And then pushing it down once more will stop recording video. It's got two shoulder buttons on the top here. The right shoulder button is for flip mode, and you have to hold it down and then input the direction that you want to flip in, and the quadcopter will flip. And it actually flips and recovers pretty well considering the size of the quadcopter. Now the left shoulder button actually has two functions. Pressing it once quickly will change you between rates. There's two rates. And in my opinion, it could really use a third rate because high really kind of feels like a medium. And in high rates, it really can't fight the wind that well. It's actually kind of interesting because it'll lean into the wind and fight it just fine, and then it gradually tapers off into a hover, which is kind of strange. But I found that if you kind of work the throttle a little bit, it'll tip back in and start fighting again. So I don't really know what's up with that. I've heard of other people having the same kind of issue, if you will. But, I mean, it is, if you are trying to get camera footage, you're probably not going to be out in crazy wind. But something I definitely wanted to mention. Now, if you hold the left shoulder button down for 2 seconds, that'll put the quadcopter in a headless mode. And I found that the headless mode is actually very accurate. And in all the flights that I've done, I've never had it lose its original heading. And that's pretty important to know because that means that you can trust the headless mode to use as a return to pilot feature, as long as you remember which way the quadcopter was facing when you turned it on. One other thing I want to talk about before we move on to the quadcopter is how to recalibrate the accelerometers. So we'll bind the quadcopter to the transmitter, and if you take both sticks and move them down left, that'll recalibrate your accelerometers. And it's important to note that this also resets the headless mode orientation, so you want to make sure you pay attention to which direction the quad's facing when you do this. Now the build quality on the quadcopter itself is pretty awesome. Syma's used this kind of shinier, harder plastic on it, which I kind of thought would be a little more brittle, but it's actually been surprisingly durable. I mean, I've had some pretty spectacular crashes with this thing, and there's really no damage on the quadcopter at all. The included prop guards attach really easily to the arms here, and they work very well. But I have found that they kind of magnify the effect that the wind has in the quad, so I really haven't been using them all that much. As far as LEDs go, it's got the two red LEDs in the front, the two green LEDs in the rear arms, and they're super bright. It helps with orientation in the daytime and the nighttime, really any kind of light conditions. I think the two most welcome upgrades on this quadcopter have got to be the landing feet. You know, it's got a much wider stance, which kind of helps you from tipping when it lands. It's kind of hard to tip it over when it lands now, where the original one kind of had smaller feet and they were closer together, so it would want to tip over. And they've added a hinged battery door. So the battery door is nice and easy to open, making it nice and easy to replace batteries. And speaking of the battery, we'll pull the battery out here. The quadcopter comes with a 500 milliamp hour battery. Let's see if we can focus on that. There we go, 500 milliamp hour battery. But there's plenty of room in the battery bay for 650 milliamp hour batteries, or probably even bigger. The stock battery gives you about 6.5 minute flight times with the prop guards on, and about 7-minute flight times with the prop guards off, so you get decent flight times, and it's got a nice long 30-second low voltage warning. So you get plenty of time to get the quadcopter home safely before it decides to land itself. One other thing that I should mention is that there is an on-off switch on the bottom right here. So you can stick the battery in, install it before you go to the field, and then just turn it on when you're ready to fly. That's always a nice feature. Really, the last thing we're going to talk about here is the camera. So it's got a 2 megapixel camera in it that actually shoots surprisingly impressive video. Consider it's on a toy grade quadcopter. It's nice and easy to install, so you can take it on and off if you want to. It's got this push button right here, and it slides right into that track, and simply unplugs right there. So it's nice and easy to install. Really, the only downside of the camera is it's got this aggressive downward angle. Syma's still doing that. I don't really know why they do that. So it's hard to not film the ground while you're flying, because you figure when you're pitching, now it's pointing straight at the ground and not at where you're going. But it seems like some longer screws in the rear and some shims would probably tip the camera up pretty easily, so it's not a huge deal. I'll probably get around to doing that pretty soon. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers everything. So why don't we take it outside and see how it flies. Alright, this is going to be the outdoor flight of the Syma X5sc. We'll start it off in low rates. And we'll start by showing you the yaw rate. Like I said, the yaw rate does not change with the rates. So that's the yaw in both high and low rates. And here's the pitch in low rate. So it's actually a really, it's a good controllable speed for recording video with. And then we'll switch it into high rates. You can see the pitch increases a little bit there. So it's not slow, but it's definitely not a sports quad. But it is sold as a camera quadcopter, so you really can't expect that much speed out of it. We'll try some flips here. We'll do a backflip. Bring it a little bit closer here. We'll do a side flip. And it flips well. It recovers well from the flips. It's definitely a good flipper. Alright, so what we'll do now is we'll just kind of fly it over here. We'll hover it real quick. Let's take a still shot. So you see how the still shot function works. And now we'll get the video recording, and we'll just kind of fly it around so you can see how the camera works. And while we're doing this, one thing I do want to mention is how well the headless mode works. Now, if you notice, when we started flying, I had the quadcopter pointing this direction, and so that is always going to be forward. So what we'll do is we'll send the quadcopter over here over the garden. We'll just yaw it randomly and put it into headless mode, and now we'll just pull the stick back towards us, and it's coming home without a problem. So it's good to know that you can trust this headless mode to use it as a return to home feature. Alright, we'll switch into some night flying so you can see how well the LEDs work. And we got, like I said in the review, we have red LEDs in the front, green LEDs in the back, which is kind of backwards to me, but it seems like that's the way everyone's going, so we're going to have to start getting used to it. But it is a great night flyer. You can easily see orientation, there's no problems there. And you can see the camera too. You can see the camera's green, and if I turn the camera on, it switches to red to let you know that you're recording. And we'll record here for a little bit just to kind of show you what to expect out of the camera in low light conditions. Do a little pan here. There we go. Like I said, it's really smooth. It's real easy to be smooth with this quadcopter, which is nice. It makes it a great camera platform. So I think that about covers everything with this quadcopter. I hope this review was helpful to someone. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Definitely leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.